Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Melissa. Thank you guys so much for joining me here again. For today's video, I have a bit of a rehab project to do on several plants. I have a couple Alocasia here. I have a really sad Anthurium, which just breaks my heart. And I have a very crusty Maranta. And you're probably wondering, how is it do I have sad plants? And the answer is we all get sad plants. Some things are out of our control, and that's okay. So don't feel like I have perfect plants all the time, because that's not the case. I do have my share of plants I have struggled growing, plants that just have gotten pests recently that have really made the plant upset. So we're going to be taking care of these plants, making them happy again. I'm going to be completely chopping one up. I have some that I'm going to be putting into Fluval Stratum, and I'm going to be repotting one. I have one more here beside me, a pole that I'm going to completely take off. If I have time, I will include that for this video too, but we'll see how long it takes to do some of these other ones. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a messy project today, but I hope you guys enjoy and can learn something from this, and let's get started. First plant we are going to take care of is this Alocasia Black Velvet. This is the only Alocasia in my collection that I've struggled to grow, and the reason it looks a little sad is because it came down with spider mites in my cabinet. I actually just placed an order for 100 cucumarius mites because the spider mites in my plant room have gotten out of control. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to get them all since I've had such a pretty large outbreak, and I think they're just repopulating and spreading around. I have a fan in here, and a lot of my plants are in pretty close proximity because they've gotten so big. Leaves touch each other. It's just kind of unavoidable at this point. So the mites are definitely going to help me out. I've been a little slack with using mites recently. So yes, I'm hoping those will take care of the problem. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to treat plants that are affected, and just hopefully I can get rid of them in the next little bit. So the black velvet came down to spider mites. I treated it, and I don't know, it's just sad. I just don't feel like the root system is healthy in here. So I'm going to be undoing this entire thing and just rooting in Fluval. If they have healthy roots, great. If not, then I'm just going to prop in Fluval. I have just some plastic cups. I think I'm going to plant these all together in one cup. So I think I'll use the medium cup, or I might use a small one. We'll see. Depending on, I don't want to like use too much stratum because that stuff's expensive. But I'm going to get a bin to dump the soil out, and we're just going to start over. I'm not really sure why the black velvet is a harder Alocasia for me. I've always had trouble with this Alocasia. I mean, obviously the spider mites is what made it go downhill as of recently, which is kind of unavoidable sometimes, but I definitely feel like there's something else going on. I don't know if there's some rot issues, maybe some watering inconsistencies because my cabinet dries things out so quickly. It does have a little bit of roots. They seem kind of dried. I'm gonna just leave one leaf so that it doesn't have too many leaves to kind of have to focus energy on to keep alive. I'll probably rinse these root system actually in water before I plant them in Fluval. This little corm. And I do have one more corm in my cabinet in Fluval that hadn't been planted into here, and it's doing well. It's just a small one leaf. But I do have a black velvet corm, at least if something happens to this one. There might even be more spider mites on these plants. Oh yeah, there's some rot going on. on this one. And rot isn't necessarily just from overwatering. It happens when you underwater too, and there's so much water at once that the root system can't uptake all that water, so it sits wet longer, which in turn leads to rot. So you definitely can cause rot from underwatering. I'll probably just give these roots a little spritz with hydrogen peroxide after I rinse them. That one still has a decent amount of roots, and I left 2 leaves on that one. There's a tiny little corm that I pulled off. I don't know if that'll make it. Ooh, that is just pure mush. The stem. I don't think this piece is gonna make it. This isn't rotted, but there's a spot here that's just like mush. Yeah, oh shoot, the whole leaf came off. I don't know if this thing is salvageable. Because even if I cut the top of this, there's not really too much of an aerial root that will grow. I'm gonna try and show you a little bit closer. Right here, that's mush, and if I cut above, I think I'm just gonna toss this. I don't think that's even worth risking or trying to rehab. But these are healthy. So I have a main plant and then 2 corms, and then I have another small corm, like I said, in my cabinet. So once these grow, I can make my small plant back. So I would say the issue with this one is some rot, either from over/underwatering and spider mites. So I'm gonna go rinse these, spritz this with hydrogen peroxide, and make sure there's no other spider mites. And then we will plant that one in Fluval. I also found this little cloche. I got this, I think, at Target one year. It's pretty old, but you can find stuff like this in the Target dollar spot all the time. I'm gonna sit the cup of Fluval in here with the lid to hold in extra humidity, and plus to protect it from outside elements, and I'll stick it in my cabinet. I just don't want it to get spider mites again. And this might mold, and if it does, oh well. I think it was only like a few dollars. All right, I have my big thing of stratum. I just bought a new bag. And we're just gonna take a little cup like this. And we're just gonna plant them all in here. I might actually try growing this Alocasia in leca or pon. I don't use that substrate, but I've been trying to grow this Alocasia in soil for a while, and it just doesn't seem happy each time I try. I just feel like something happens. So I might try that and just see how it does growing in a different substrate, because I'll be able to leave it in this stratum for a while, but I won't be able to leave it in here long term because it breaks down. It does have nutrients, so I really think that this Fluval is going to just revive this plant and get it happy again and growing new roots. And then once I have a good root system, I might try growing. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, but I don't know if I want to try soil for this one again. And then we will moisten our Fluval. All right, so that is that one. So we are going to set that one in our cabinet. I'm hoping the leaves aren't too big for this. It might be too big. Okay, that's not gonna fit for that one. Oh well. I'll use this for my other alocasia because I have one more to rehab. That's okay, we'll just stick this in the cabinet like that and it should do well. I feel like, you know, this is really going to help this plant, you know, grow better and get back to being happy. I'll definitely keep you updated on all these rehabs that we're gonna do today. So that one was pretty easy. All right, let's do the other alocasia next. It's right here and it'll be pretty much the same process. I'm gonna rehab it in Fluval. And so this, you guys are probably gonna get really shocked and I'm like really upset that this happened, but this is the variegated Frydek. Yes, I know, it's down to this. This is the main one. I do have corms. I have several corms that are growing, but the main plant that was so beautiful is down to this. And the reason what I think happened is, so I had moved it from under a Barina light to this corner right here. It wasn't getting enough light. And then this corner came down with spider mites. So it did have spider mites too. And then I think just mixed with the lack of light and everything just caused it to go dormant. So I believe if the corm and root system is pretty healthy, it shouldn't have any problem growing back. I'll just root it and rehab it in Fluval and let it root in Fluval for a while, and then I will decide to pot it up. But I think just me taking it out of the spot where it was happy was just, it just didn't like it. So I think it prompted it to drop all of its leaves and then the spider mites, of course. And then it just decided to go dormant on me. So again, same thing. Oh. Here's a little corm. I don't know if I'll be able to save that or not. Oh, the root system's unhappy. I bet you it was staying too moist in that corner. Not enough light. Oh, here's another little baby. I don't know if that'll do anything. Okay, good news, we don't have any stem rot and we do have some healthy root left, so it should recover just fine. This growth that I was trying to do is like all mushy. Okay, same thing. I'm gonna rinse it, give it a little hydrogen peroxide spritz, and we will reroot this and let it grow in Fluval. And then I'm gonna put this in its own little humidity dome and I'm gonna stick this in my cabinet. Okie doke, we're back. Okay, so here's another cup of stratum. And this is what's left of our little variegated Frydek. Makes me so sad that I made it go dormant. But I'm expecting it'll do fine. It'll come back. All right, this one will fit in the little humidity dome. It's gonna look really sad for a while, but I have a feeling it's gonna come back and it's gonna do great and I'm gonna get beautiful growth. So that was rehab project number 2. Now I do have these tiny little corms. That's a black velvet And these two just came off from repotting. I'll plant them into Fluval separately, you know, like I normally do for my corms, and see if they do anything or grow. I'm just gonna sit them beside the plant down here so that I know what they are, and I'll just do those like later off camera. I'm trying to think what I want to do next. The Maranta, or I might go ahead and just do this Queen Anthurium, because this one just, I don't know what happened. Look, you guys, my beautiful Queen Anthurium looks pitiful. And I mean, I know what happened. I've been putting off repotting this plant forever. I just knew it needed to be repotted. I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I've neglected like pretty much all of my anthuriums, which I feel really bad about. And then it got spider mites, which I didn't realize it had spider mites. I treated my entire cabinet, you know, when it happened, but I guess I missed some. And so when I was in there watering the other day, it was like facing this way. So I didn't really notice anything at first. Like I thought it looked pretty healthy, but then when I took it down to water, I saw like the yellowing, and then I turned it around and saw that leaf. I'm like, oh no. So this one, I'm going to be cutting off yellow leaves that are unhappy. I'm going to give it another little rinse down in case there's any more remaining spider mites or anything, because I don't know if there is. There might be. And then I'm going to cut off some of the ugly leaves on this plant. There's like a few that are really ugly that I'm just going to get rid of. So this plant's probably going to be left with like 3 leaves. And the substrate I'm going to do, so I'm going to upsize it, I believe, because it's pretty root bound in there. But I think I might do the mix with sphagnum moss and orchid bark. I don't think I'm going to do any soil, and just throw like slow release in there. Because these are, I feel like some people grow these just in sphagnum moss, but I do want some kind of bark at least. So I might do that, just take my chunky mix that has perlite bark and some charcoal, and add a little sphagnum for some moisture retention in there, and then repot this plant. So that's the plan with this one. So the leaves that I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to get rid of this back leaf. And you want to cut, so I don't know if a new leaf will pop out of the back of this one. There's like a new, it's really hard to see, but basically the anthuriums grow. There's like a little new growth that can form that'll push out on the bottom. So I don't want to cut it all the way off. I just want to cut it to just above that. That'll leave a little stump. So getting rid of that leaf. This other one here that's really sad, we're going to get rid of. That one. And I'm going to get rid of this big one here that's yellowing, because I just don't like it. And that's what we're left with. Oh, that was sad. All right, we are going to get rid of, and you guys do know a lot of my anthuriums were potted into soils, and I didn't even realize that. So this root system may just be horrible. It probably doesn't even need an upsize. It just needs to rehab. Yeah, because it's like wet in the middle. I wonder if that's why some of my anthuriums are becoming unhappy. Yeah, I can smell rot. It just doesn't smell good. I am losing some roots that are just sloughing again right off. Oh yeah, I think a lot of her root system is rotted in the middle. It was just retaining so much moisture. And I'm gonna have to, I'll soak her root system in hydrogen peroxide for a little bit. We'll do our Maranta next, and then we'll come back and pop this one up because she's gonna need a soak. I feel like I haven't dealt with this much root rot since I first started out with plants. Actually, since I'm dealing with rot, I'm just gonna pop this into sphagnum moss. I would do Fluval, but I haven't tried an Anthurium with Fluval. And I know these can grow in moss, so I might just soak some Superthrive water with my moss and just let this live in moss for a while. Ooh, I heard thunder. It's getting ready to storm here. I actually have a couple little plants. I just wonder how long like this has been going on for. I imagine for a while. You know, again, I just thought this mix was a mix that dried out, you know, for an appropriate amount of time. But at least I know, and at least I can, I'm gonna be having to do a lot of rehabs, which sucks, but at least I know so I can fix the problem. Okay, more is probably gonna have to come off of that. Yeah, we have some stem rot too. It's not good, you guys. This is not good. Well, this went to a repot to a full-on rehab. That is such a shame. All right, I'm gonna get a bin of water, fill it with hydrogen peroxide, and yeah, rehab this Anthurium. It is bubbling and doing its thing. Look at that. Oh, this Anthurium is going to be so mad. Hopefully it'll do okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna root that strictly in moss. I'm gonna let it soak for like 30 minutes. So the next project I'm gonna do is this. What happened to this? This is a flat mite victim and it's very sad. I have it in a nursery pot, but the nursery pot is stuck in here. I can't get it out. So that's a problem too. I'm gonna have to try and force it out later. So I'm just gonna cut this plant up. It has, I don't really see any healthy growth that much. There is a couple like healthy shoots popping out, and yeah, whatever I can propagate, I'm just gonna propagate and reroot this plant in water and pot those up. It's just a flat mite victim. It just got really sad. And it just, I don't know, I would cut all the yellow leaves off and next week it would be the same yellow leaves. I'm really, really incredibly sad to see this Maranta like this because it was so beautiful back in the day. Yeah, I don't know if it was just like the flat mites or the use of sulfur. I don't know, but we're just gonna start propping it. We're gonna prop the entire thing. And to prop Maranta, you wanna find a bump on the stem, and that's the node. And you cut below. Let's see. I'm probably gonna start propping this in a few different places. I was actually going to root these in Fluval Stratum, but I'm just going to do water because Fluval is expensive and I don't want to use it on, I don't want to fill up a whole container on this basically. I see a ton of, well, not a ton, I do see new shoots wanting to grow up out of the soil from the rhizomes. So I may, you know, just get even a full plant back from the soil. I also have all of these. These have been propping in here forever, you guys. So I took these cuttings before I knew these plants had flat mites. I got rid of a lot of the flat mite damaged plants, but I'll probably end up potting these up in a separate pot too, and then just take the new ones, root them in water, and we'll just figure out, we'll probably just put this base in my other room, and then what will grow up out of here will be like a healthy plant. There's actually quite a few sprouts that I see, which makes me excited that it's wanting to grow back. Now if only I can get this pot out of here. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking. All right, I will have to water this and get this pot out of here, but that one little shoot is all that's left, and there is a ton of spikes in there. So we will root all these cuttings just in water. I'm gonna rinse these off at the sink though, and I might just spray them down with my soap solution. And then I'm gonna rinse these down too and pot up these in a separate pot, and we'll see what happens with this. After a lot of finagling, I was able to get this thing out of that basket, and that's all that's left. I gave it a drink, and then we'll just see what grows out of that. So these are all the props that I had taken already. They're rooted. So I'm gonna pot those up into soil. And I washed out the container those were in. This is just plain tap water. So all the new cuttings, we are gonna stick in water here and let them root. Ooh. I do have one more of this Maranta left, and it is growing so well. It was a plant that I had started off of this one, but it is just growing. It is exploding in growth since having flat mites. All right, so this is our brand new water propagation vessel with the rest of those cuttings. I also potted up the corms too. I did 2 from the Variegated Frydek here and 1 black velvet, so they're potted in this little container with the rest of the little babies. And I have a ton more in my cabinet. So the only thing that's really left is to pot these up. I have to put my queen in moss, and we should be about done. I think I'll go ahead, because I really want to take care of this too, to chop this guy and get him off the pole. So I'll probably do that too. We'll see. I feel like this is already getting so long. So with my mix, we are going to pot this Maranta up. Oh, I want to use just some Osmocote for these because I'm getting low on the new fertilizer. And Osmocote's great. I still love Osmocote. So we're going to pot this in the group together, straight down in here. And I'll just have to make sure that this soil doesn't dry out for very long, or I'm going to try and keep it moist for the next couple weeks just because these came from water. What I'll probably do is let this plant sit in this little tray of excess water. To bottom water, and then, you know, just so it can, kind of like a wick system in a way, just so I can make sure the soil stays hydrated. Next we have the warocqueanum, and we're going to take a little bit of sphagnum moss. I'm going to rinse this real quick. This is the water hydrogen peroxide, and we're going to take a little Superthrive in water. Oh shoot. So this is Superthrive soaked sphagnum moss, and we're going to loosely pack. Okay, so you can see the roots there in the sphagnum. So this too was one plant, and these are two separate plants, and the two smaller ones had some stem rot. So we'll see what happens with that. I feel like the big one at least should be fine. I feel like it's going to shock, but it's not going to. It had some roots, so I feel like it's going to be better off. All I'm going to do is cover the top with some saran wrap, and then we will put this one in our cabinet to rehab. A trick that I do is I take a pair of shears or whatever and cut a line like halfway, and it can easily wrap around the stem so that the top is mostly covered, if that makes sense. Because the goal here is to keep it humid inside. So with the saran wrap, it's going to lock in humidity. And that little slit made enough room that the plant can still stick up from that. Saran wrap doesn't really fit onto these Starbucks cups very well. Sometimes I use tape just to lock it in place. This stays pretty moist in my cabinet, and you'll see. I'm going to show you another example. Oh, you took my seat, buddies. With me. So you can see my majestic here that is rehabbing, and I have another one, another part that's rehabbing. This is a better example. You can see all that condensation in there. This is the serpents that I'm rehabbing too. I love using moss to rehab these plants. That was drying out a little bit. Hi, buddy. See, I had taped this one, so I'll have to get some tape and better secure these. I'm going to show you the finished project on everyone. I'm going to hold off on doing the moss pole because I have another moss pole. Well, actually I have several that I want to like redo and take off, so I'm going to save that one. So this was the queen Anthurium, and I covered with tape, saran wrap, and then I'm going to put this one, I'm going to make room for her in my cabinet over there. And this was the black velvet that I'm going to reroot and grow in Fluval for a while. This was the variegated Frydek that I'm going to stick in my cabinet. So all these are going to go in my cabinet, those there. And that was another look at the corms that I just added in there. And then this goes back on the bottom with all my other ones. Hey, Chai. The water props are here. This is the main original stump, and you can see there's lots of new growth points coming out. There's some there. There was actually quite a bit, but I was covering them up with my finger with the soil. There's more there. So this one should hopefully grow back and get full in no time. And then this was the other set of props that I potted into soil. Then I'm going to put these 3 in my bedroom, and we'll keep an eye on those and see how those do. Honestly, they look so much better than how they started. I'm really sad that I found rot on, you know, the more plants, but it is what it is. Hopefully I can get them growing back, you know, beautiful again in some time here. It is getting ready to storm. It keeps like thundering louder and louder. Chai just wants cuddles down here, as always. So yes, I will definitely keep you updated on the progress of these and how they're doing. And then I'll do like a moss pole video on a different day, because I have 1, 2 that I want to, 3, 4. I have 4 that I want to take down. No, 5. I have 5 that I'm going to be redoing. So that's going to be a project in itself. Chai. Yeah. Little paw. You're so sweet. But yes, thank you guys for watching. I hope this was helpful and you learned something from this. And I have a feeling everything's going to do well. I think the one that I'm most worried about is the queen Anthurium. But we'll see. I will keep you updated. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.